future cybersecurity from a jobs perspective is very optimistic. I mean, it's never going to go away. We are constantly getting more and more ingrained into the online and interconnected culture, which just means there's more and more availability to get careers in cyber. So in my personal opinion, the most important ones, and I might be a little bit biased, but access management, we continue to have more and more profiles of ourselves, and managing access to your access to certain things is super important. Obviously, data protection and privacy is huge. And then AI is very big. So I think those are the three areas that I would focus on if I were getting into cybersecurity again.
Shred, international editor of the Cyber Express, and welcome to this exclusive Cyber Express interview with Caitlin Sarian, who is best known as Cybersecurity Girl, a security influencer with more than 700,000 followers across social media channels. Welcome, Caitlin. Really excited you're with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
All right. So you started out with an engineering background, and you seem to be on kind of a corporate cybersecurity fast track with privacy and security management and director roles at some big name places like EY and DLA Piper. So how did you go from there to becoming a social media influencer?
Yeah, very random actually. So I like you said, I started cyber about 11 years ago now, and never did I ever think I was going to be in cybersecurity. Actually, computer engineering was not my forte. I did aerospace engineering in college, and electrical engineering and computer engineering, coding was not my thing. But I did a lot of amazing internships, and every time I did an internship, I was like, I don't know if I can see myself at this company for a long period of time. Like it'll be fun for a couple of years, but would this be my forever kind of place? I wasn't sure. So I decided to go into consulting, and actually, when I was recruited at EY, they had told me that they were starting a cybersecurity practice, and I was very intrigued. I didn't want to tell them that I was terrible at coding because in my head that's all I thought it was. But I talked to my parents about it, and the lady that was interviewing me, I really just hit it off with her. I felt, I still am friends with her to this day, Danielle, and she was like, if you don't like it, you can always change tracks, but like we'll teach you everything on the job. And so I was intrigued. I absolutely love learning. I love challenges. I love being put in uncomfortable situations in that sense, like a learning situation where I'm always like up for a good challenge where I'm trying to learn. And I just kind of fast tracked it from there. When I go all in, I go all in. So at UI, I was really working crazy hours, learning everything I could possibly learn about cybersecurity, and I ended up loving it. I really started in cyber transformation. So I think my first project was actually Cisco. We were helping them with ISO 27001. So I got to, look at, this was back when it first started in, 2013, 2014. So I got to look at everything across the Cisco environment and like assess them and then tell them where their gaps are. And it really I got a good handle on what cybersecurity was about from that really broad spectrum type of assessment. And I continued to do similar assessments at large companies like Experian and et cetera. I got to work Experian after the data breach. I don't know how, but I got a lot of really, really cool, unique opportunities, and I just kept taking them and running with them. And I started getting into data privacy specifically, and I was able to move to London because of that for GDPR. And then I came back, and that's when I got the opportunity to work with DLA Piper. And then, I just decided during COVID, it was still when I was at DLA Piper, I kind of climbed the corporate ladder, so to say, and was not as satisfied as I wanted. I think a lot of people probably feel this, but COVID hit and you were like, okay, so now what? Like, I can't do anything. And you kind of reflect on your job, right? And I was thinking like, okay, I got here. I'm making the money that I always dreamed of making. I'm doing the things I always dreamed of doing, but I still felt kind of empty. And I always thought I was going to give back to the community in some way, shape, or form. I actually went into school as an elementary education major, and I switched along the way. And so I was like, I really want to inspire the next generation of people to get into cybersecurity, because it's so unknown and no one really understands what it is or what I do. Everyone always just immediately thinks I'm going to hack them. And little do they know that I've literally never touched a line of code since I got into consulting or cyber in general. And so I was like, the best way to reach the next generation is to go onto TikTok. and reach the younger generation. I also wanted to get more women in STEM fields as a whole, because mechanical engineering, it's 5% women. So I was really passionate about those things. And yeah, I went into doing this social media thing with 3 pillars in mind. One was to get more women into STEM and cyber. The other was to get more people interested in cybersecurity as a career and really demystify what that looks like. And then the third, which was kind of an afterthought, honestly, was like, let's just educate people along the way that don't know what cybersecurity is and how to protect themselves. And I told myself I was going to give myself a year. I mean, I was still doing my normal DLA corporate job, but I was going to do this for a year. I was going to post 3 times a day. And if nothing happened, then that's probably not what I should do. But I wanted to give myself that chance. And then it just blew up within a few months. And then it just kept going. And I never thought I would be an influencer. I still like giggle and am semi-embarrassed that I have to say that I'm a cybersecurity influencer, because I think there's a stigma around that. And but yeah, I'm so excited about the impact that it's making with the community that I just continue to go. And I got an opportunity to work at TikTok for a little bit, and then I realized I was building someone else's dream. And I'm so passionate about that platform still. I'm so passionate about, other platforms as well. But I wanted to continue to build my dream, which is to help consumers with their cybersecurity, make it easier and make it more fun and transparent and honestly clear. And then the other thing was to get more people into cyber. So I've been doing that for the last 8 months, and I haven't looked back. So it's been great.
Nice. Wow, that is a wonderful story.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, as a person on the internet, what did you do to make TikTok grow?
What did I
Was
do
it
to make
hashtags? Yeah, I'm just kind of curious how you did that.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me that. I think it's the consistency, and it's the relatability, and it was bringing cybersecurity to an understandable and relatable point. Because us in cybersecurity, right? And I don't like saying us, because I feel like even though I worked in cybersecurity for 10 years, like I am no freaky genius. Like it takes me so long to grasp a lot of concepts. And a lot of times we just assume that once we understand the concepts, that everyone else obviously it does. It's like, once you learn how to walk, everyone knows how to walk. Like you don't think about it after you learn it. And what I started realizing is that, people aren't taught cybersecurity at all. They're not taught anything. They don't understand why it's important. And it was making content that was relatable to people and understandable and educational. So it was getting people's attention as to why they should think cybersecurity and to consider cybersecurity before they make big decisions. And then the other was just making it quick, easy, relatable. We don't have a long attention span. I'll speak for myself. I don't have a long attention span anymore because of social media. And so it's fun to be able to try to give clear concepts of cybersecurity in a short, digestible manner. And I really, and it makes it more fun, and it makes it also more personable, because cybersecurity is such a daunting topic. And a lot of times, again, because people don't know what it is, it just goes over people's head because they don't care, or they're not ever told to care. And so making it more fun and understandable and digestible just helped kind of garner a lot of that stuff. But to be fair, my first viral video, which I always like to just share the story, even though it's embarrassing, only went viral because I mispronounced a word, and I mispronounced pwned. Because I was referencing people to, if they wanted to check if they were, involved in a data breach, to have I been pwned. And it was really late at night. I wanted to make a quick video because, again, I was making 3 videos a day, and I hadn't made my 3rd one yet. And I was like, let's just get it done. I'm just going to do it really quickly and then go to bed. And I woke up the next morning, and I said pond instead of pwned. And I woke up the next morning, and it was a mad, crazy comments. How can this person ever say they're in cybersecurity when she doesn't even know how to pronounce pwned? A whole thing. And I was so tempted to delete that video because I was mortified. I was like, I don't know how I mispronounced that, but I did. It didn't even come to my head. And then I was like, you know what? It's still going to the right people. It's bringing more awareness, even if I mispronounced one word. And then I started really using that as like a way to do guerrilla marketing in that tactic. So sometimes I do mispronounce words just to piss people off, and it's not to piss people off, but it's to get more attention and get more people, because everyone wants to prove that they're smarter than the other. So they're always writing in the comments. But there's some crazy fun guerrilla marketing that you can do with social media that people don't realize is like a marketing tactic. That one was not a marketing tactic, but then I started realizing I can make marketing tactics from it too. So it's always fun.
It's funny. It's a great story. So, what drew you to data privacy? It's such a big area. It's interesting that you moved into that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted like a non-technical cybersecurity job. Like there was not a part of me at that phase of my life where I was like, oh, I want to be coding and like doing attack and pen or anything like that, or working in the stock. And so I decided, I had a few options. I could have gone like the identity access management route, which I still think is awesome. GRC was cool, but I actually am not a type A person. And I felt like you really needed to be like a type A personality. And that's like not me at all. I mean, I'm that to an extent, but not that intense. And I really was intrigued by the new privacy laws that were coming about. And I wanted an excuse at that point to move to London. So I actually started in data protection. And at EY, it was originally grouped together. It was data protection and privacy. So I originally started kind of doing those like high value asset assessments or the crown jewel assessments, where we'd go into companies and we'd like say, okay, what's your most important thing? And then how are you guys protecting it? How can we protect it even better? And so that was really intriguing to me. I really love being able to protect like the most important thing, because at the end of the day, that's what cybersecurity is protecting something. And then it kind of transitioned more into like privacy and privacy laws. And then my dad was also going, and he's a lawyer, and he was also starting to do his privacy law stuff back then too. And so we kind of just did it together, and I moved to London for GDPR, and it kind of just worked out. And then I loved everything about it. And then I started realizing I loved being able to protect the consumer, but it was really hard for me to like be on the consumer side of it when I was consulting for companies that were trying to abide by these rules. So it was a weird balance, but I really like the fact that data privacy is really driven by consumers and it's not corporate based.
So you have a website and a bunch of social media feeds. What are you doing now? And can you tell us how it's going?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, and honestly, they're all going to be hitting in the next few months. But a book will be out, and that's just going to be a general like cybersecurity handbook that literally walks through like how you can set up Wi-Fi securely, how you can make sure your accounts are secure anytime you're connecting to a device. There's also going to be an app that kind of goes along with that. So any type of IoT, which is, for those of you that are watching that don't know, it's internet connected devices, or any smart device that you connect to the internet. Those are always super risky to put on your network, and like any apps that you potentially use. So the app would be going through, the most popular internet connected devices or most popular apps, and kind of teach you, one, it will tell you kind of a security and privacy snapshot of it. And then the second would be to teach you how to kind of implement it correctly. So the book and the app are really for the consumer base. And then I'm building a cybersecurity community for people that want to get into a job in cyber. Because it's been a long time coming. I'm working with one of my really close friends and mentors, Chris, and we've built a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of stuff happening, but there'll be courses and communities and stuff like that. So I'm trying to hit both angles of like getting people into cyber as a career, and then also just educating the public.
Stuff.
Yeah.
You've touched on it, but women make up maybe 25% of the current cybersecurity workforce. So what have you seen here in your own career? Basically, how are we doing? Are we getting better?
Yeah, I mean, I think 25% is a good number. I know Jen Easterly at CISA is trying to do 50%, and I forgot when she's trying to do that by. That's her goal for the US at least, which I love. I think there's a lot of things that are happening with women in cyber, and I've been doing a lot of research recently on trying to get more women and why it's stopping. And there's a few things. One is they're actually finding that more women are getting into cyber or into technical fields, but they actually start dropping off after like 3 or 4 years, and it's because they want to have a family. And so I actually think, for me personally, and I can kind of start seeing this for myself, that a lot of the jobs really don't allow you to have that flexibility where you're able to manage a life outside of work and cyber. Because cyber is like, honestly, it's a 24/7 job. Um, I will speak for myself. I was in it for 10 years before I like quit and started doing my own thing. And I was single. It was very hard for me to have like any type of relationship because I'm so hardworking and I wanted to do my best at the job and constantly learn and grow and keep up with the threats. And so cybersecurity is a really hard thing to manage. On top of that, you're trying to manage a family. I think it's really, if your corporation is not flexible, it's very hard for women to stay in it. I do think there's a lot of new women that are trying to get into a career, and not just women, just people in general. And there's this, we're in a really weird phase right now where companies are saying that they're hiring entry level and they're not hiring entry level. So there's that. There's a lot of like weird things in the mix, and I ideally would like to have 50% women, but at this point, I don't think corporations are flexible enough to have women be able to be mothers or, good family members while also doing a cybersecurity job. Because the women that I've seen that are crushing it, it's really hard to be both. It's very hard to be both. So that's my personal opinion, but I'm hoping that changes soon. It have a little bit more flexibility. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Those are great insights. Yeah, I mean, the women I've seen who've done really well seem to be 24/7.
Yeah.
Isn't going to help anyone to start a family and have a life. So, yeah, I was thinking when you were talking that I was wondering if companies should be looking at, filling smaller slots with people who want some flexibility, like weekends, nights, or things like that. It seems like that's a need that's probably not filled now.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think there should, even if they're like part-time roles, it's still a role in cybersecurity, and it's still a role that a woman can take that also allows her flexibility with the family, et cetera. But yeah, I think, I mean, to be honest, like I said, I did mechanical engineering in school and it was 5% women. So I'm just happy it's over. Like 25% is a lot for me. I think that's great. And I also think, with standard gender norms and stuff, I mean, there are a lot of women that I know that are very happy to be home and not want to work after a certain amount of years. So I think it just depends. Like, I know a lot of women that are like similar to me, where they're just go with corporate, and they want to do that. And then I know a lot of women that are just like, I'm happy to be home after a few years, like after I started my family. So I think it just, I don't know if we could get to 50%. Obviously, I just want the women that want to get into cybersecurity to get into cybersecurity. That's what I want. So I don't think we need to hit a number. I think we need to hit like a balance of like, are the appropriate people that want to get in, not just women, but like in general, are the appropriate people that want to get in, that have been working really hard getting in. And right now, I actually don't think that's happening because of this weird, there was like tech layoffs 2 years ago or like a year ago, and now they're starting to rehire, and there's some weird uncertainty with the government in the US right now because they don't know what's going on, if we're going to go into a recession. So there's this, it's weird hiring, right? Very weird hiring. So that's my one concern.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was thinking that one of the biggest problems with these entry-level jobs is even the entry-level ones want some kind of hands-on experience. So I'm curious, what can people who have no hands-on experience do? It's one thing, the book knowledge gets, study for the certs and all that. Actually getting in there, tools and the processes is a real challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the one thing, that's why I'm kind of building my own course, because what I've found is a lot of these courses are monopolizing on the fact that a lot of people now want to get into cybersecurity and don't know where to start. And these courses are selling like $10,000 to $15,000 for like a boot camp where you get like a Security Plus certification, but people don't realize that certification doesn't really mean anything. I mean, it's like, congratulations, you're showing that you're excited about cybersecurity, but you're really not getting the skills that are needed for specific jobs that they're asking for. So, for example, I'll give data protection or privacy as an example of like an entry level job, right? you don't need a Security Plus exam. If anything, if you do need an exam, it would be like a Certified Information Privacy Practitioner, CIPP, if you did have one. And if not, you just need the skills to show that you have the ability to get in, which is, understanding standard privacy laws or doing some type of mapping between GDPR, CCPA. So right now, people are doing too broad, and they need to kind of niche down into which areas they want to get into. But the issue is that no one understands that there's this many areas of cyber. And so they sign up for these courses and they're like, oh, it's going to do this. So the differentiation between my courses and all the other ones is, one, there's like an intro course that literally lays out every single type of area you can get into for cyber as an entry level. And then they get to take a quiz after based on their skills. It's 20 questions. It'll tell them like, oh, you're 10% into GRC, 25% into attack and pen, 35% into this. And then we have specialized courses for every single area that specifically works with that skill set needed for that type of entry level role. So you can start, the homework assignments actually help build your resume. And then ideally partnering with an HR company that helps kind of hopefully place them, but then that community comes in and helps with building, morale and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of like issues in that whole funnel process, and it just none of them are being addressed really. So hopefully they'll be addressed soon. But yeah, I mean, I think for those listening that don't know where to start, I offer a free intro course. You can take that. There's also a bunch of intro courses. The issue that I found a couple of years ago when I was looking, and I'm not sure if any of them have changed, is a lot of intro courses are one-sided. So it's like an intro course, but it's really specifically geared towards like SOC analyst roles, or they don't really tell you all the areas of cyber you can get into. They kind of touch on like, oh, there's like all these things, but then they start specializing in one area. So figure out what area of cybersecurity you want to get into, and then look at job roles similar to that and look at the skills that are needed and start trying to get the skills. And then the one thing that people really need to understand is like networking is absolutely key, especially right now. I mean, I think a lot of people build their resume and then just do easy apply a million times and are wondering why they're not getting asked back. But the key is the network. So again, depending on the area that you're getting into, you could join a group like ISACA has groups, or IAPP has groups, like local groups that you can join, and you can meet people in person, or you can, find people on LinkedIn and message them and ask for mentors or all that stuff. There's so many things that you can do to network as well. So it's understand the area, find appropriate skills, and network, I think, are the most important things to do. I actually think the time being spent on, in my opinion, semi-pointless certifications like Security Plus could be better spent networking and actually like making real connections with people that can help you get a job.
Interesting. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming in with a big, broad question. Are you optimistic or pessimistic about the future of cybersecurity, and why?
Oh, well, it depends on like what type of future we're talking about. But first, I'm a very optimistic person. If I was pessimistic, cybersecurity would be very scary and sad. But I think the future cybersecurity from a jobs perspective is very optimistic. I mean, it's never going to go away. We are constantly getting more and more ingrained into the online and interconnected culture, which just means there's more and more availability to get careers in cyber. So in my personal opinion, the most important ones, and I might be a little bit biased, but access management, we continue to have more and more profiles of ourselves, and managing access to your access to certain things is super important. Obviously, data protection and privacy is huge. And then AI is very big. So I think those are the three areas that I would focus on if I were getting into cybersecurity again. And then, I mean, in terms of like threats and like, potentially like World War III, online cyber, I mean, that's already happening. I don't think people realize that the online stuff, all the stuff online, the cyber warfare has been going on for years, which is why cybersecurity started back in the 70s and 80s. So they're going to keep being more persistent, but I have faith in the people and our training, hopefully, that if we are able to use AI for good and, other platforms for good, that we'll be able to combat, the bad actors in this world. But if I were to be pessimistic, I'd probably be living under a rock and not talking to anyone. So, we could go both routes. I refuse. I want to live my life and enjoy my life and not be in a state of panic and fear. And as long as I feel like I'm doing my part and doing my best to protect myself and others, then that's all I can do.
That's a great thought. Guest has been Caitlin, aka Cybersecurity Girl, and I really want to thank you. It's been great talking to you and very insightful stuff, and we look forward to see what's coming from you in the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it.